Welcome to the deep dive. Okay, so we're seeing this incredible infrastructure boom happening right now in America. Just massive
Giant
projects.
scale, yeah.
We're talking multi-billion-dollar semiconductor plants, new clean energy grids, these enormous data centers. They're popping up everywhere.
Yeah.
But, and it's a big but, there's this major bottleneck, a real choke point threatening the whole thing.
Right.
Finding enough skilled workers.
It's a critical issue.
So today, we're diving into some really interesting source material detailing a pretty radical finance-heavy solution to this problem. It's called the SkillBuild SPV seat reservation platform. SPV means special purpose vehicle.
Mm-hmm.
Our mission here is to figure out how this very structured approach plans to change the game, moving from unpredictable hiring to basically scheduled talent showing up right when needed.
And that shift can't come soon enough. I mean, this isn't just a small inconvenience. We're discussing some estimates. They put the cost of this inefficiency purely from labor shortages, and the resulting delay is at something like $850 billion for the U.S. economy. It's staggering.
Wow, $850 billion.
And when you look at individual projects, big construction sites, delays just from not having the right people can easily cost $1 million, sometimes more, every single day. Plus, the speed of federal money coming in means the old ways of training they can't keep up.
That urgency really sets the stage. So the core idea we're exploring is treating workforce development itself almost like building infrastructure. Something stable, you can finance it, it's predictable.
That's the goal, yeah.
This model seems to weave together three main things. Employers making solid commitments for training seats, using really advanced XR, that's extended reality, for super fast training, and applying strict project finance discipline. We're going to unpack why some are calling this infrastructure-grade workforce financing. Sounds serious.
It is. And before we get into the mechanics of the SPV itself, you really have to understand the financial pressure cooker these big employers are in. That's what's pushing them towards solutions like this. These huge federal incentives, the Inflation Reduction Act, IRA, and the TNPS Act, they're massive opportunities. But they come with some pretty sharp teeth.
Strings attached, right?
Big ones. These projects, they're incredibly vulnerable. They can lose enormous tax credits if they don't meet very specific workforce rules, especially around apprenticeships.
How much are we talking?
We're talking credits that could be worth 60, maybe even 80% of the entire project's value. Losing that is, it's potentially fatal for the project economics. And meanwhile, traditional training, it just takes way too long. You might need electricians in, say, 6 months, but a standard community college program, that's often 18, maybe 24 months.
That timing gap is huge.
It's a disaster for project timelines. And it's not just the speed either.
It's the scale, too.
Exactly. It's the capacity. Think about a company like Intel needing, thousands of skilled construction workers and technicians all at once in one place. Your local community colleges, they usually run on fixed budgets, set schedules. They just get overwhelmed. They can't magically find hundreds of qualified instructors or build specialized labs overnight.
So they get swamped.
Totally swamped. And then the smaller projects, they're left fighting for whatever scraps of labor capacity are left over. It creates scarcity.
And you mentioned the government is strict on this. The IRA, for example, demands projects hit at least 15% apprenticeship hours to keep those bonus tax credits. You missed that mark.
And your project's financial model could just collapse instantly.
The CHIPS Act, too, it requires these formal partnerships between employers and colleges. So this SPV idea, it sounds like it's not just clever, it's designed specifically to guarantee they meet these rules.
Precisely. It provides a structure for compliance.
Okay, let's unpack this.
Yeah.
How does this financial structure actually guarantee anything? How does it go beyond just asking a college to add more classes?
Right. It guarantees delivery because it applies essentially Wall Street discipline to workforce training. The special purpose vehicle, the SPV, that's the key. Think of it like building a massive wind farm offshore. You wouldn't just fund it out of the company's main checking account, right?
No, you'd set up a separate entity.
Exactly. A legally distinct, walled-off entity, the SPV, just for that project. This SkillBuild SPV does the same thing, but for training a specific group of workers. It isolates the training pipeline financially, applies these structured project finance rules, and importantly, it takes the risk off the college's general budget.
Ah, I see. Isolates the risk. Okay, so let's get to the mechanism, the seat reservation. What does take or pay actually mean when we're talking about training people?
It means the demand is locked in. Contracted. Employers sign these seat reservation agreements, often for 2 or 3 years. They're basically pre-purchasing guaranteed training capacity, say, for 50 electricians or 30 welders per year. They reserve a pipeline of talent.
Instead of just hoping slots are open at the local college.
Exactly. No more first-come, first-served uncertainty. It's a fundamental shift from the old model, where colleges just had to guess what industry needed and hope students enrolled.
But hang on, if it's take or pay, doesn't that mean the employer pays whether they hire the person or not? Isn't that a big risk for them? Why commit to, say, $5,000 or $10,000 per seat per year like that?
That's a really fair question. And it points back to just how big the other risk is, the risk of not having the workers. They're buying certainty. The sources we looked at suggest the cost of failure, losing those massive tax credits or those $1 million a day delay penalties, it absolutely dwarfs the cost of that seat reservation.
So the $10 a case seat is like an insurance premium against a much bigger disaster.
Precisely. It's risk mitigation for them. And crucially, the sources point out they don't pay all that up front. The payment timing is aligned specifically to when the training program actually starts and that capacity becomes available to them.
Okay, so comparing this to the traditional way, based on that chart in the source material, the difference is pretty stark. Traditionally, the college or maybe the employer has to find the capital expenditure, the CapEx, to build facilities or hire instructors up front, right? And just hope it works out.
Yeah, it's a big gamble for them.
But here, the SPV gets financing to build all that, and the employer only pays when the promised training capacity is actually ready to go.
Exactly right. The SPV effectively finances the build-out, the labs, the instructors, the curriculum development using debt. And it spreads that risk across contracts from multiple employers who've all committed to buying seats. That stability, that predictability, that's what makes institutional capital interested.
Right, the financing angle. That's the next big piece. How do you convince serious investors, the kind who usually back, I don't know, toll roads or power plants, to see a class of future electricians as a solid investment?
You make it look like something they understand. Project finance, not like risky venture capital. When lenders see those take-or-pay contracts signed by major creditworthy infrastructure companies, they see a reliable, contracted revenue stream. It's not speculative hope, it's guaranteed income for the SPV.
That lowers the risk profile dramatically.
Hugely. And then the SPV diversifies its income further. It taps into existing government funding streams, too. Things like individual training accounts, ITAs, under WIOA, the Workforce Innovation and Opportunity Act. That's already about, what, $1.4 to $1.6 billion available nationally each year for worker training. It's reliable funding.
Okay.
Plus, they structure deals with local workforce boards for performance payments. These boards often pay the last chunk of tuition only when the SPV proves its graduates got jobs and stayed in them.
So public money is tied to actual results.
Verified outcomes. That's key.
Okay, but what about collateral? Usually in project finance, if things go wrong, the lender seizes the asset, right? The pipeline, the power plant. You can't exactly seize the trained workers.
True. You can't seize the people. But this is where the assets of modern training come in. The SPV does hold tangible collateral. That includes all the expensive XR equipment, the headsets, the simulators, and crucially, the standardized software curriculum is often held in escrow.
Oh, okay.
And very importantly, they require credit enhancements from the employers. The big one is a letter of credit, an LOC.
A letter of credit, like from a bank.
Exactly. Think of it as the employer's bank providing a guarantee. The bank essentially tells the SPV's lender, look, if our client, the employer, fails to pay for those reserved seats, we, the bank, will cover that payment.
Wow, okay. That makes the loan almost risk-free for the lender then.
Pretty close to it. It makes the whole training pipeline truly bankable. And if we zoom out, connect this to the bigger picture, this really marks a fundamental change in how we think about training. It stops being just a cost center, relying on uncertain grants, and becomes this securitized, financeable asset, almost like a utility.
That is a massive shift in thinking. And it seems like it's powered by the sheer speed they can create this capacity. Which brings us to the tech side. The XR training, extended reality. We've sorted the money, but how do they actually train thousands of people fast enough to meet those contracts?
This is the acceleration engine.
The sources say this XR approach makes training pipelines 4 times faster than the old ways. 4 times.
Yeah, the compression is remarkable.
So instead of that 18, 24-month timeline, we're talking maybe 6 to 9 months. which, crucially, actually fits the tight schedules of these big infrastructure builds.
And the simulation aspect is just huge. Students can practice complex, even dangerous tasks, welding, electrical work, over and over in a virtual environment.
Exactly.
Totally safely, without wearing out expensive, real equipment, without any risk of injury. And maybe the biggest deal for scaling up, it's delivered through mobile XR labs.
Mobile labs.
Yeah. They can essentially deploy a full training curriculum using VR headsets and haptic gear almost anywhere. In a rented space, even a modified shipping container in a parking lot if needed. Capacity becomes incredibly flexible.
That's amazing. And the system seems to have accountability baked in, too. It's not just fast, it has to be good.
Yeah, absolutely. The SPV model demands quality. It uses automated tracking built into the XR systems to monitor every student's progress, every simulated task.
And they set really high targets. I saw metrics like needing 85% course completion.
Right, and 75% job placement after graduation.
And even 65% retention 6 months into the job.
Yes. And hitting those metrics tracked automatically is what triggers those final performance payments from workforce boards we talked about. It ensures the speed doesn't sacrifice quality. Quality is directly incentivized.
Okay, this sounds powerful, but maybe a bit abstract. Let's make it concrete. Where is this actually being used?
Good idea. Let's look at semiconductors. Massive expansions happening in places like Phoenix, Arizona, and Central Ohio, TSMC, Intel. Just the construction and ongoing maintenance for those plants, they need something like 4,000 to 500 to 5,000 skilled workers in each region over just the next few years. There's a huge gap.
A huge deficit.
So what's the response? They've launched a specific Phoenix Semiconductor and Data Center SPV. It's partnered with Maricopa Community College, which has the scale and, importantly, the willingness to adopt this new XR delivery. They're aiming to train hundreds of learners right away. This isn't some 5-year plan. It's about getting skilled people onto job sites in months to prevent potentially billions in project delays or lost federal incentives.
Wow. And data centers, too. You mentioned Northern Virginia.
Oh, yeah, data center alley. Absolutely booming. Over 4,900 megawatts of capacity installed or planned. The demand there, especially for electricians and specialized HVC technicians, is off the charts.
So there's an SPV there, too.
Yep. The Nova Energy and Data Center Workforce, SPV1, partnered with Northern Virginia Community College, NOVA. It's tackling that specific shortfall, directly linking the training outcomes back to helping utilities meet their own IRA requirements.
And you also mentioned using it just for compliance, like ticking the box for the feds.
Well, yes, but in a very targeted way. Protecting those crucial IRA bonus tax credits is a major driver. So you see these very specific shorter programs like line worker pre-apprenticeships, maybe just 4 to 6 months long. They're designed precisely to generate the required number of certified apprentices, mapped to industry standards like NCCER, just in time to meet those federal 15% utilization thresholds. It's very strategic.
What really struck me was the deployment speed the source is detailed, moving from identifying the exact skills needed by employers
to getting instructors trained on the XR platform, setting up the mobile labs, and actually starting the first class.
in just 8 to 12 weeks. That seems incredibly fast compared to how colleges usually work.
It's warp speed compared to the traditional academic calendar and curriculum approval processes.
Here's where it gets really interesting. You're saying this isn't just a proposal. This is live, happening now in places like Phoenix and Ohio, because the old system literally couldn't react fast enough to save these huge projects from financial trouble.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
It's a response born out of urgent necessity. And ultimately, the SkillBuild SPV, when structured correctly, offers something valuable to everyone involved, employers. They get that guaranteed talent pipeline, predictability, and critically, no huge upfront capital costs for training infrastructure.
Okay.
Colleges. They get new, reliable revenue streams, often debt-free, which they can use to upgrade their own facilities or programs. They become more responsive.
Makes sense.
Workforce boards, they love it because they only pay for proven results, people getting trained, getting hired, and staying employed. Taxpayer money is spent effectively.
And this dude.
They get faster training, aligned directly with what local employers are desperate for, often with much clearer pathways to placement, sometimes even guarantees. It accelerates their careers.
So pulling it all together, what does this really mean? It feels like this SPV model basically hacks the workforce development system.
Hacks might be one way to put it.
It aligns all these different incentives that were previously pulling in different directions: government rules, private investment needs, college capabilities, worker needs, the need for speed.
Exactly. It uses sophisticated finance tools, normally reserved for bridges or power grids, to fix this major bottleneck in our national supply chain for talent.
It essentially turns future demand for labor into something concrete and financeable today.
Precisely. Current financeable training capacity.
So the provocative thought then, this model treats training capacity almost like a utility,
Right.
like electricity or internet bandwidth, something scarce, essential, and now financeable. If you can reliably contract for and finance a pipeline of skilled workers like this, like infrastructure, what could that mean for all the other big skills shortages we face? Think about specialized healthcare roles, cybersecurity experts. Could this SPV structure start to fundamentally change how we fund training, moving away from such heavy reliance on traditional, often slower public education funding models? Something to think about.